you party? Boy, you really are 17.
Why do you party?
To get riggedy wrecked, son!
To cover the rest for one time only.
God damn it, Ardia. You son of a bitch.
You're bad now.
Alright, let's see what we got here.
Come on, bad won't bash you, don't want to face
Let's
it.
see what we got. Okay, I mean, you don't really have any, like, particularly bad matchups in this game. You do fine against AM, you do fine against CK. Like, Enter Fire is really powerful against both of those heroes. You're buying BKB, like, second or third item every single game on this hero, so you don't have to worry about, like, the other ones. Like, yes, if you don't have BKB, those heroes are gonna explode you, right? Like, Lion Sky is a crap ton of burst. They have CK stun as well. So the enemy team kind of has, like, the type of team where if they catch you with a stun, you're probably dying 100-0. So you kind of have to play the game with that in mind. Like, if the Lion ever gets Blink, or, you know, the CK ever gets Blink or has Silver Edge or some shit, you're gonna end up in a situation where unless someone on your team has a save item, you're dead. So that's just, like, one thing you should have in mind when you're going into this game. As far as the lane, who are you laning against? Let's fast forward a bit. We want to see the start of the lane. So, going for top row, nothing really too out of the ordinary. Let's put this on 2x.
The battle begins.
I'm fine with it in some. It's not a big deal. Alright, so we missed the block a bit. I'm not gonna go, like, super in-depth into the laning phase, but as a general rule, you always want to block in a way that's gonna have the creeps on your hill, so the enemy mid has to stand in the river. That's like mid 101, right? Like, if you don't win the block on the first wave as Huskar, it's not the end of the world, but it does put the enemy in a much more advantageous position if their block is better than yours and you have to attack uphill. That's always really, really bad. Alright, so we kind of placed our ward super late. This is a really bad habit. I am going to point this out because it's super important that you get your vision down. When you know that they can't see you, there is a really good chance that this Skywrath saw you place that ward. So in a game of, like, decently skilled players, that ward's dying within, like, the next 2 creep waves. Like, if I was mid and I saw you place that ward, I immediately buy a sentry, I push the wave into you, I kill your ward. Right? Like, that can very easily happen. Maybe not in a Sky matchup because it's Sky and he has a hard time pushing the wave. But you should get out of the habit of placing your obs like that immediately. That's really bad. Alright, so let's see. Let's slow it down a bit. Back to 1x.
A spectacular done!
So you haven't... Alright, there you go. Now you skilled. Okay, so a little trick to remember, and this is something that I learned watching really high-level mids. Let's watch and see what you do first. Okay, yeah. When you walk up, let's rewind a tiny bit. We're gonna play this forward again because I need to show you the point in which. So right here, right, we get 1 auto. That's fine, right? We're gonna aggro toggle. We're gonna pull the creeps back, which is also fine. Pretty normal mid stuff. We're giving this guy the creep, but that's okay, right? Because now he's, like, standing really far, and him getting this creep is going to be really difficult unless he uses mana. So priority is always deny the ranged, right? You know that this creep is going to tank the 3 melees, right? Your range. Because you did the aggro pull yourself. You intentionally dragged the creep to your range. So you have 2 choices. If you can get him out of EXP range completely, you don't have to deny it. But you have to remember, that shit's like 1300 range. It's really far. He's still in EXP range right here. So it's still in your best interest, even if you walk at him, to deny the creep rather than let it die to your creeps. The other one is that you can attack command him right now. Like, if you attack him right now, you'll drag the creeps off of yours and keep it from getting low in the first place, so he can't ever go for it, right? Both of those things are choices that you can make in this situation. I would probably go for the deny because it's guaranteed. Mark 1300 range visually. Well, if you look at Sky's got 625 attack range. So it's like, roughly, if I was Sky, if you're playing Skywrath, you can attack this Huskar, and this, like, 625 is, like, maybe right back here, right? So 1300 would be, like, from where he is to, like, maybe here, like, by the T1. So the only way to get this guy out of EXP range of that creep is for him to be, like, back here. You gotta be really far. So anyway, yeah, you have those two choices. You hit him, which is fine. But yeah, the EXP is the big deal, right? Because it's Sky. And Sky wants levels really, really badly. If you can get him behind on EXP, that's going to be a huge thing for you because he relies on bursting you down in order to be able to win his lane. And the lower level he is, the crappier his burst is going to be. Dragging these under tower is probably fine because you're level 1. If I was like level 2 or 3, I would not drag this under. I would just keep it here. But yeah, this is probably okay. The way the wave is going to meet, your wave's going to be like right on this lip. So it's going to be a really good spot for you.
Dad mash a rich pork.
So this is like the ideal lane position for our hero. I think maybe skilling this... So we still have a lot of regen, right? Because of the position that we're in, this is like a heads-up play that you can do in the future. If you know that your next wave is going to meet in a position like this, you can skill Burning Spear instead of Berserker's Blood because it's an orb, and you can just beat the shit out of him because you're standing on top of your hill, right? You can make him expend mana. You know you have tangos. Worst case, you can send out a salve. And then you just end up being like, you know, 1-1-1 at level 3, which is also okay in a lot of matchups. Specifically for Sky, I know why you put the point in E, and it's probably not a huge deal, but you can really abuse these types of timings. Like, high-level mids do this kind of stuff all the time, where if they have the advantage on the hill, they're going to do as much damage to the other guy as they can physically do whenever they have, like, this type of creep positioning. And the benefit that you get from Burning Spear is that you're not going to draw aggro, you know? So, like, this guy's sitting here. He doesn't even have regen. Like, he actually doesn't have regen at all. So you could just, like, lay into him as spears if you wanted to. It's not, like, a make or break, but it's something to have in mind. So he hits you. We're walking down. We're taking quite a bit of damage here. Let's see how we CS. He gets the creep. Let's pull up the CS, see where we're at. He's getting some denies and stuff. I mean, the lane's not pushing out too much. I don't know if we had to queue for that creep, but I guess we got them both anyway, so it's fine. Okay, another thing I'm going to say as well. Again, this is mostly for Sky. You probably want bracers. And the reason that you want bracers, if you're going to lean heavily into Berserker's Blood, it scales off your strength. So having, like, 2 bracers in the early game is going to give you a lot more regen over the course of time, and he's going to be trading mana into your health regen. And your health regen doesn't cost you anything. His mana costs him a lot. Like, if he's out of mana, he has no lane. So the reason why bracers are better is because they're more slot efficient, and they will allow you to sustain the lane for a longer period of time, forcing him to either, you know, go to more runes, or maybe go back to base, or whatever. But you can already feel the amount of damage that this guy's doing to you, right? And again, this is kind of a niche matchup because it's just this one guy that can really do this kind of thing to you, and maybe Lina, right? Like Lina, Sniper, Sky. Is there any other hero? Maybe Viper. Like, they're the guys who are going to make you buy bracers because they're going to continually be dumping into your hero, and you need to sustain the lane. Like, Huskar needs to be playing from ahead. So just something to keep in mind for, like, other matchups where you know you're going to be taking heavy harass. So right here, we're, like, looking at this weird shit that's going on. What is actually going on? I don't know if walking away from this wave is really the best, but I guess you kind of want the creeps. This is very strange. I mean, I don't really know how this happened, but it's extra EXP for your hero, so it's not that bad. Alright, so we got our second point at Berserker's Blood. We're standing out of EXP range. We're standing way too far away. Like, we know that guy just spent his mana. We just want to be able to tango up and go in. So the biggest mistake that I'd say you're doing right now is you're actually respecting him too much. Like, you're playing like you're going to die when you're not actually going to die, and this is like a limitation thing. Like, you missed probably 3 creeps of EXP. So that wave that got dragged to you, which should have ended up putting you ahead. Where are you EXP-wise? Yeah, you're actually dead even. So think about this. You got an extra wave of creeps, and you are literally the same EXP as him with double the CS. That's because you walked too far away, and you missed, like, an entire wave. You want to be in EXP range all the time, forever. It is a huge deal. You could be, like, more than halfway to level 4 right now. And like I mentioned, level advantage really, really, really fucking matters. So if you're in this position again, and you have like a good amount of HP and he's already used Concussive Shot, you can get a little bit closer. It's not a big deal. Also against Skye, probably want to consider buying a stick as well. Stick is like that little burst of extra HP while you're under your tower, because Skywrath players are going to play ultra aggro. And it's just going to end up feeling really nice if he goes for a play on you and you just have that little oomph to live and he dies. That's kind of the thing that you're buying it for, and it pays dividends, trust. Alright, so we want to make sure we're not missing too much CS here. We're going to do a bit of an aggro drag. Actually, I think we either failed the aggro drag because we were too far away, or we went into fog. I can't tell which one it was. The other thing that happens here is he gets both runes. So let's go back and watch and let's kind of figure out how we let that happen. So like here, okay, so his wave is under the tower. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because heroes that are very mana dependent and are buying bottles and stuff, like I don't think he has one, but he still is mana dependent, so letting him get 2 water runes is kind of rough, right? That's like theoretically another round of spells that he's going to be able to throw at you. Right now, since it's 2 minutes, even though we can't physically push the lane hard enough to make him, like, basically we can't make him not get any, but we can definitely take away 1. So if we can take away 1 from this guy, we really want to do it. So what I would do in this position is I would walk top. I would walk to this rune, because, like, he's already used his mana, right? He's got 9 seconds on Conch Shot. He's not going to really be able to chase you down. This is another situation where you're looking at, like, you're kind of respecting the hero maybe a little bit too much, right? Because you're regenning a lot. So yeah, like, the big thing so far, you were out of XP range, you don't have a wand, you didn't buy bracers. Against heavy magic nukers like this, you really, really want the bracers. The other thing you have to remember is that early game, it snowballs the rest of the game. Like, if you're having a really good lane, and you're just totally free farming, let's say, you know, almost 3 minutes in, we could probably have like 10 more CS if we're playing the lane really well. Because this guy is not really doing it. Like, he's doing some stuff, but it's like not overly impressive. We have a good camp kill timing here, that's nice. So we're gonna get the respawn, which is good. We're letting him kind of farm on his hill. The wave is actually not under the tower, though, so he's going to get quite a few denies. With the helm, we should probably have enough regen to live for a little while. But what's going to end up happening here, because we don't have bracers, is we're most likely still going to get bullied out of lane. Like, Skywrath damage is serious business. The irony is that that extra wave really would have helped you a lot, because you would have gotten to 5, and your level 3 Berserker's Blood would have been huge. Just like that extra bit of regen. Like, that's really the name of the game with Huskar. The thing that makes him so obnoxious is the fact that he basically doesn't ever have to back up. Like, he's always the guy taking your HP, and he's getting regen, and you're not getting regen, and it just makes the entire game feel really miserable to play against. I would also probably, like, besides the stick, I would probably buy brown boots. And the reason I buy brown boots is because I know that this hero is extraordinarily fast, and if I ever get a timing where he's like on my hill and I'm 6, like, let's say I know I'm ahead in EXP and I have boots, and most Skywrath players are kind of weirdos and they just buy a bunch of nulls and they don't buy boots, then you can catch him off guard with an early 6 boots and just run him down. This is specifically in the case of you being EXP ahead, right? Which you would assume, given the fact that you got a bonus wave. Alright, so he's going to die one of those. It's not really a huge deal. You can buy raindrops, but the problem is that the raindrops are still 225 gold, and that's a fairly significant investment, right? Like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you're gonna have to buy like 3 of them. And then all of a sudden you're looking at like 600 or 700 gold, and you're like, man, this really just doesn't feel that good. If we don't stack this, I'm gonna be sad. Alright, nice. We're getting this stacky. Nice, good stack, good stack. We're almost 6 of 5 minutes. Our EXP is doing fine. Like, we're doing good on CS as well. If we're doing like this AFK farm stuff, we always want to be looking at the mid hero too. The next big thing that we want to consider is, since we are playing against a very good ganking mid, we want to make sure the 6-minute rune, if we can stop him from getting it, that's huge. That's another thing that Huskar can do to a lot of heroes, is prevent them from ever getting runes by either pre-runing or just like pushing the wave and standing in such an aggressive posture that the enemy would have to pre-rune like 20 seconds in advance to even have a chance at getting a rune. That's the kind of play we would want to make. In this case, we're probably going to have to pre-rune ourselves because it is Sky. Although if he's not showing, or he's dead actually, so he's not even going to get the rune either way. Hopefully he's not going to get the rune. But the 6-minute rune is a crucial timing for a lot of mid gankers, because it could be a haste, it could be a DD, it could be an invis, and all these runes change the dynamic of a side lane really heavily, especially if one side gets ganked and the other doesn't. And since you're Huskar, you're probably not making that many rotations as your hero. So the next best thing you can do is make the rotations that the enemy mid makes weaker by denying them that thing. Please don't go top. Don't go top. This is so rough. Please don't go top. You didn't skill ulti. This is pain chant. This is all pain chant. Please go back mid. Don't do these moves. You don't have ult, you can't do this. Even if you have ult, I would never do this. Huskar, first and foremost, timing hero. This rotation is the last thing you ever want to do. You never do that on Huskar. Huskar is about, when do you have your armlet, when do you have your BKB, when do you get Rosh. Those are the only fucking things that matter on this hero ever. If you are sacrificing your own game for somebody else as Huskar, you're playing the wrong hero. Don't do it. Fuck your side lanes, fuck everything that's happening in the game if you're mid Huskar. You are playing this hero for your armlet, your BKB, and Rosh. This hero cannot be played in other ways. If you try to do weird shit, like fight all the time and make all these little moves, you're gonna end up suffering. Like, Huskar is a selfish hero by nature. You have to be like, me first. So the farming is fine. We want to keep an eye on the 8-minute rune. If we can. If your 5 isn't warding for you, by the way, it's always commonplace for, like, let's say, like, 5 minutes, 30 seconds into the game, you probably should have sent out another observer ward so you could keep tabs on the rune, right? Because what'll happen is, even if you don't know what it is, you'll know that he has it, and you can communicate to your teammates, like, yo, this guy's got rune, right? That kind of stuff can matter a lot. But you're being pretty diligent about checking them, which is a really great habit. I don't know why you denied that. You could have used the mana anyway, but I guess it's fine. Oh, God, don't do this. Stop leaving. Stop leaving your lane. These moves are bad. You can't do this. Oh, my God, it's hurting me. Please just go back to your lane and farm creeps. You're not playing Queen of Pain. You're not playing, like, some ganker hero. You're Huskar. Don't make these moves. I know this doesn't seem like a huge deal, but you have to remember, every time you make a move like that, you're essentially missing, like, a full creep wave. So just think about it this way. Every time you do a rotate like that, you're missing like 200 or 300 gold in EXP. Like, realistically, that's what's happening. Maybe not always that much, but a lot of the times it's going to be that much. You just want to be out of the habit of making these like weird walk rotations. I can see that you're like a bit indecisive. Okay, so let's take a minute. Let's take a minute and talk about what our priorities are. We want top of the list item timings, okay? Item timings are paramount when playing Huskar. Same thing for heroes like Meepo, right? What does Meepo do the best? He absorbs a lot of golden EXP and he gets a lot of items. So you want to apply that same mentality to Huskar. Huskar wins his lane. He gets items really fast. Sometimes he takes his tower, not always, but sometimes. And then he gets that Rosh, he gets his 2 or 3 item timing, and then he just goes, right? You're not always going to end the game on the first Rosh, but you certainly can get map control with the first Rosh, and then you keep it until the next Rosh, and then that Rosh could theoretically win you the game. Now, for this particular game, as soon as you have Armlet, you're hitting Ancients. You're hitting the creep wave, you're hitting the Ancients, you're hitting the large camp. You're hitting the creep wave, you're hitting the Ancients, you're hitting the large camp. Staple it to your goddamn forehead, because that's what this hero does. You want Ancients because of the most valuable creeps. You want to kill them every minute. You want to kill the wave if you can. If some support needs level 6, you can give them the lane. Like right now, this guy is level 4. This guy wants EXP, it's almost 10 minutes. He wants 6 for Life Drain. Giving him mid is fine. Why? Because you can just simply walk over here, kill this camp, they'll respawn, you kill this camp, you kill this camp. You're giving this guy his 6, which he very, very much wants, right? And you're still farming pretty much the same, if not more, than you would on just a wave and a small camp, right? Because it's an ancient camp and a large camp. So roughly it's about the same, maybe a little bit more. If you're just walking back and forth and you're like kind of unsure if you want to take the tower, it's okay that this tower stays alive for a little bit longer. It's actually fine. If this thing is ever going to put you in danger, leave it alone. Like, if the enemy team is going to TP and defend this tower, it's better for you to just be over here, making sure that you're going to hit your timings, okay? So if you don't know what to do, and you have, like, this 9-minute armlet, hit this, hit this. You can even hit this, and then hit this. If your supports rotate to get EXP, let them stay there. It's fine. You don't have to do all this, like, weird back and forth stuff. Like, hitting this tower, even though your team is fighting right now, in this case, it's actually okay, because you see action on the map, right? So this is actually okay. But if you are indecisive, just do what I said and you'll be good. So, like, this move is fine, right? Because you saw that they were in the enemy jungle and you knew that you were safe. But if you are ever unsure, just fall back to the ancient camp and you'll be Gucci. Okay, so this move has potential to be Omega bad. I hope you don't walk into their woods. That would be Monka.
Jams it in!
Yeah, okay, so this is like... This is a borderline crazy person move. This is like... I mean, you aren't dying, but again... Like, missing out on golden EXP. That's the theme, you know? We have to walk all the way back to our side of the map. You're actually very fortunate that you didn't end up dying there. If you died there, it would have been a disaster. Like, actual, complete disaster. Now this is fine. Chilling out, hitting some creeps. Let's speed it up a tiny bit. So far, the biggest mistakes really are just, like, early itemization. Maybe respecting the mid a little bit too much. Not going for runes.
Kaboom!
Making some really weird movements. This is fine, because your tower's being sieged or whatever. You know the AM can't approach you. This move's fine. I think he's like Ancient 2 or 3. I mean, being low HP on Huskar simply means that you're farming faster, right? Like, your item timings are still going to be pretty good despite making some kind of wonky rotates, but yeah. Nice, we got our triangle cleared before the respawn. That's really good.
Regeneration. Money changes hands.
But yeah, like, as boring as this looks, like, this is really just all Huskar does. He farms this triangle. Your armlet should be on. Yeah, okay, there we go. You farm this triangle, and then you hit the wave, and then you farm the triangle, and you hit the wave, and you just do that forever. I assume some kind of fuck shit happens, because as it stands right now, in your current position, I feel like you guys should be more than okay. Oh, we're walking a Rosh already, huh? Okay. Let's see what happens. You can Q Rosh, by the way. Like, Inner Fire does hit Roshan. Ooh. Okay, not much to say about that. That's actually horrible. Like, I'm not saying, like, sometimes you get bashed, you know, whatever. it's horrible for the game that you didn't get the Aegis. Because you're the hero who wants to go in and do all this stuff. Like, that Aegis is supposed to carry your team into full map control, and instead of you getting full map control with the Aegis, you've now given it to a Queen of Pain, who I assume, given the net worth values, was a support. So instead of you having this Aegis and being able to, like, aggressively posture and use all this space and do lots of cool stuff, you died because you got bashed and you didn't get it. That's extreme pain, champ. And then your queen loses the Aegis immediately. This stuff matters a fuck ton. Because you could have theoretically won an entire team fight off that Rosh. And the enemy team can never take it at this point in the game. They can't, at 14 minutes, walk in with 5 heroes and even take that Rosh. No shot. So, we've kind of thrown away a gigantic piece of the puzzle when it comes to the Huskar checklist. You know, the Roshan. Like, that one's kind of down the tubes right now, which sucks. Like, if you die again before you get BKB, it's going to be because of that Rosh, right? Like, you go back to the triangle, which I think is the correct call. Like, this farming is fine. It would be kind of nice if your Centaur wasn't taking these camps, but sometimes that's just life. Also, put your Mithril Hammer in your inventory, you weirdo.
The monster jam! Too fast and
You want that damage. Like, the fact that this isn't in your inventory is just hurting your farm. You're losing out on 21 damage. Considering Huskar is basically all attack speed when he's on low HP, it's a problem. Okay, yeah, so we are gonna die before we get BKB. So, this wave is just really greedy. Like, you do see 3 heroes, but you know you're kind of low. This is another thing, too. Like, you don't have a TP. What's up with that? We don't have a TP. You're showing on the wave. If anyone clicks your hero, they know you're isolated here, right? If you TP'd and you had another TP, they can't see your TP cooldown, so they could theoretically think if you walked into trees, oh yeah, he's just going to TP out. A good player is going to click on you, be like, yo, this guy TP top. He's stuck here. He can't run away if we gank him, right? That's just like basic rotatey stuff. So, the Roshan that you didn't get, the creep wave that you took that was probably one wave too far, which happens a lot, by the way, so don't feel bad. This happens all the time. Even I do it sometimes. You kind of got baited by the heroes that you saw on the map, maybe thinking you were safe. But the way you have to look at it is like, your triangle is going to respawn. You didn't need to go this far in the first place. You need to be very aware that these deaths that set you back from your BKB are going to hurt your game exponentially every time it happens. So we've already got 1 bad Rosh. Now we've got 1 death before BKB, which is pain.
too big, too fast, and too strong.
So yeah, we die here. Omega Pain champ. We do have our BKB after we're up, but this is another problem, right? Now we have BKB, but there's nothing really super good for us to take, right? So normally you'd have this Aegis and a BKB, and the difference between having the Aegis and not having it is that when the BKB is in your inventory, you can always use that BKB to just leave. You don't have to do like some... That was a good kill on this guy, getting the TP and then into the kill. Okay, so we got caught by a stun.
Jams it in.
Oh man. Okay. Let's check this for a second. Just a general thing that you can think when you're playing. All right. Let's have an internal clock in our head. We started ganking a core. How many seconds before the enemy team is going to be here? Right? 5 seconds? Maybe 10 seconds? You need to have that kind of stuff in mind when you go on a hero of high value, because the enemy team is most likely going to respond. Nothing has happened on the map for quite a long time, right? A few side lane kills, but you have to think about it in terms of what's the TP economy looking like on the enemy team. How many TPs did they use to kill you? Probably none. How many TPs are you guys using to kill this guy? 1. So how many TPs does the enemy team have? Probably at least 3 or 4, right? So you're ganking a core, you kill the core, but you immediately give the kill back to the enemy team because you didn't respect the response time. You didn't respect the fact that there's probably going to be something that happens after you start going on this guy, right? And having the BKB makes you feel safe. But the mistake that you make is you go for the greediest possible farm. Like, look at this area that you're walking into. Tree line, hill, tree line. If there's a ward here, they see you before you see them every time, and then this item against stuns, it doesn't do anything. Because you can't press it, because you can't see them before they cast their spells on you. So this area is mega monka dangerous. You understand? You can't see anything. You're basically playing Slenderman. That's why this camp is not farmable. You walk over here, there's a Lion, there's a CK, there's a Mirana. Any of those stuns can hit you before you can react if you're not paying attention, right? And even if you are paying attention. So TP economy matters. Understanding who has to make a rotation and how in order to get to you, and if they can or can't. The area that you choose to farm is giga dangerous. And you're relying on this item more than you should. This item is useful when you have another item in your inventory that's going to enable it, like Aegis. If you have Aegis, farming this camp is fine. Because what's going to happen is that first kill is going to kill you, or that first stun is going to kill you. You're going to respawn with Aegis, and they're going to have to run, right? But you don't have that. So this move just straight up kills you. You see what happens? This guy hexes you basically from fog. He reacts before you. You could say, oh, I could have reacted faster, but the correct response is just not to be here. It's simply just don't be here. This death hurts. Because now our TP is on cooldown also, because we TP'd mid. Well, I wouldn't say that the death at that camp, if he had Aegis, would be, like, good. But it would have been a lot less impactful, because now he's off the map again for another 20 seconds. I was checked out here? Well, if you're checked out, then do I need to go further? Because it feels like... To be honest, this game is still winnable. You guys are ahead. Like, you're actually ahead, unironically. But there's definitely, like... When you're playing Huskar, your game is of paramount importance. If you don't have everything going for you, the game's going to feel like crap. And even despite, like, you died a few times or whatever, you still are technically in a winnable position if you get the next Rosh. The way that this game is decided is basically the Roshan after the first, either way. But not getting the first one, you know, it matters a lot. But yeah, Dota is so fucking early game focused nowadays. It's like... The first 8 minutes of the game, and this is 100% serious, the first 8 minutes of the game decide about 80% of all Dota pubs. If your first 8 minutes is great, you probably won. And when I say great, I mean like most of your team are having a good early game. That matters even more for heroes like Huskar. But yeah. Hopefully, that helps a little bit about what kind of fuckery went bad this game. You kind of had like some of the right ideas, but it was just about like your application and how you thought about like what your hero has to do. I think maybe just don't try to do too much, right? Especially when you're playing these farm oriented heroes. Don't try to do too much. Just follow your simple game plan. And you'll crush it, I promise. Like, these players are clowns. You can definitely win this game, for sure. For sure.
I don't give a
Distraction. Thank you for the 25. Thank you for the 25. Thank you for the 25. All right. Is there anyone else who wants me to do one for them before IQ? It's like $20. I can go through the game at any point that you want, and then... Wish I knew how to play Dota well? It just takes practice, man. Practice and thinking about the game. Those are the only things that matter. BLADs. Too old and the game is too deep? Nah, you're not too old, I promise. 26? I'm 8 years older than you. 8. I feel very old. Maybe it's time to take better care of yourself, my duder. Spending G's on BLADs. I'm assuming no one else wants one, so I'm just gonna play some dota. Ban on BLADs.